everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Fun with Flags. It's my turn again. I haven't done this in a while. How are you doing, Soda?
Doing okay. It's been a fun week, but you know what? We're here. Let's do this.
Cool. And I've been sick day, but got enough energy left in the tank for to do this. I mean, I always have energy in the tank to do this, to do a show with you. Now, thankfully, I have some notes today, so I won't have to. I don't have to do much of the thinkings. Just let my brain go on automatic. And of course, in celebration of Black History Month, we are going to talk about the Black history in Israel. Now, as some people just, for some reason, just don't realize, yes, there are a lot of Black Jews in the world, and many of them do, in fact, live in Israel. Now, before I don't know why I keep doing this, but it kind of leads to some fun, interesting revelations about about each other. What do you know about Black Jews and Black Israelis?
So the
You
only
know,
thing that I really can concretely tell you I know that there is a lost that there it was it, you know how I was saying the quote unquote lost tribes, then you give me crap for it. So the only thing I know is in context of that there is a Jewish tribe in Ethiopia that is quote unquote rumored to have the Ark of the Covenant. When it comes to the history of Black Jews, that is all I know.
all right. Well, I don't know much about the Ark of the Covenant, where that ended up. Maybe in Ethiopia, maybe not. But one thing you pointed out is actually true, and not very many people do know this, is that there is a very large community of Jews living in Ethiopia. There has been for centuries,
Mhm.
centuries and centuries. Of course, we talked about this often enough in this show. Roman Empire, rebellion, uh, Second Temple destroyed, Jews displaced all over the Europe. Many of them do in fact arrive in Ethiopia, and for the most part, the majority of African Jews co- uh, conglomerated in Ethiopia. There really aren't that many Jews in other African countries besides the Muslim and Arab world, countries of North Africa. And for many years, many of them have been known as Beta Israel, just a term given to the Jews of Ethiopia, the African Jews. And for many years, many of them had this longing for the promised land, the Holy Land. Many of them had wanted to migrate to the land of Israel, or as the rest of the world called it at the time, the land of Palestine. But we're going to call it the land of Israel because it's more relevant to the context of today's episode. Many of them had this yearning to migrate to the land of Israel or to do an aliyah. Have you heard of the term aliyah?
I've heard you mention it before, but I don't
Okay,
know. I'm not familiar with what it means, but I know I've heard it. I'm pretty sure it came from you.
it's literally in the name. So
Well, but
aliyah
no,
means
before that.
aliyah. Aliyah is basically Hebrew for migrating, but specifically when it comes to migrating to Israel.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the reason for that it's also the word itself basically means, I have no idea how I'm going to translate this, but going up, walking up, rising up,
Ascending?
essentially.
Ascending?
I suppose you could say ascending. I suppose you could translate it as that. Basically, wherever it is you are in the world, you're ascending to the promised land. You're migrating slash ascending to the land of Israel. And that is a term that has been associated with or any Jewish migration to the land of Israel, to the ancestral homeland of the Jewish people. Of course, the term itself started around the 1800s, around the time of the birth of Zionism with Theodore Herzl
Mm.
and the migration to the land of Israel. But we are going to talk about specifically the Ethiopian migration, or to be more accurate, the Ethiopian Aliyah to the land of Israel. And of course, we start off with the year 1848, due to a uh, due to the condition of Ethiopian Jews in Ethiopia getting worse and worse. Now, obviously, right off the bat, I think you already know by this point what anti-Semitism is, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and
Yeah,
I've learned more about it over the last, I'd say, what, 6 months.
yeah. Under the worst circumstances, but yeah. So easy to say. It's not easy being a Jew, right?
Pretty much.
It's also not very easy being a black man, right? A black person,
It's almost like the Jews have invented oppression.
pretty much. But yeah. So imagine what it's like being a black Jew. Like take these two things and combine them. It's like you're not just being hated for being a black. You're not just being hated for being a Jew. You're seeing prejudice and racism from other black people in
Basically,
your
you were born with a handicap. Like you were
yeah,
born with something
two
that,
handicaps in this case.
yeah.
So yeah, the situation for Ethiopian Jews continued to get worse and worse and worse, and Ethiopian Jews would continue to suffer more and more prejudice and racism around the mid 1800s. So around 1848, about 100 years before the foundation of the state of Israel, a leading figure in the Ethiopian community, in the Jewish community in Ethiopia, Daniel ben Hanania, and this is the only picture I could find. Him and his son both come for a visit to visit the land of Israel, which at the time was under Ottoman rule.
Okay.
And the visit itself starts a series of correspondence between the Jews of Europe and the Jews living in Jerusalem at the time. This sort of starts a series of uh, talks concerning bringing Ethiopian Jews to the land of Israel, all the way back in the 1840s. Now, in 1862, the another famous figure in the area, which unfortunately there are no pictures of this person that I could find, but
Bummer.
a very what?
Is it bummer?
Yeah, it's a bummer. But yeah, a very highly regarded Jewish monk named Father Mehiri Sutal uh, leads a wave of aliyah or wave of migration from Ethiopia to the land of Israel after being allowed to do so by the emperor of Ethiopia at the time, Theodorus II. They now the kind of part of the purpose of this journey was to travel through or rather in the general area of the Red Sea to sort of emulate Moses' journey of traveling through the Red Sea in the biblical story. This was a horrible failure of an attempt to migrate to the land of Israel, since many of the Ethiopian Jews who took part in this aliyah died of starvation and diseases before they even got a chance to reach their intended destination, and so they had to turn back and come and return back to Ethiopia and hopefully try again another time.
That must have
Now,
been embarrassing.
yeah, embarrassing, but well, let's try not to talk about that side of it.
Hmm.
Now, as in 1949, about a year after the foundation of the state of Israel, the new government in Israel decided on uh, a large scale operation to bringing all the Jews from across the world back to the ancestral homeland. Called the operation itself was named "On Vulture's Wings." It's a line from the Bible. I did not make that up. I don't know why they chose to give it that, but a small part of this operation called "On Vulture's Wings" was Operation Magic Carpet. Again, I did not decide these names. These were all made by people way smarter than me who lived decades before I was even born.
Little on
Now,
the nose.
way too on the nose. Now, there's a reason for the specificity of that. Now, as part of the magic carpet operation, around 500 Jews of Yemenis and Djibouti, uh, uh, around 500 Yemenis Jews migrated from Djibouti and Eritrea. I've never actually found out how to properly pronounce that country's name,
I'm not
but
even.
yeah, yeah. For context, many of the Ethiopian Jews, many Jews living in Yemen were essentially banished, or to use the popular word that people tend to go to these days, they were ethnically cleansed from Yemen through the sea into Africa, and of course landed in Djibouti and in Eritrea, but remained very firmly Yemenis in their traditions and customs. And as part of the Magic Carpet operation, around 500 Yemenis Jews uh, migrated or did an aliyah to the land of Israel. Around 1955, around 25 teenagers from Beta Israel uh, also migrated to, or rather, aliyah, did an aliyah to the land of Israel to get to be educated and properly be integrated into the
Assimilate,
Israeli.
assimilated.
Yeah, assimilate, and that's another good
That's
way
the word.
of saying it. To be properly assimilated into the Jewish community and the Israeli community, which was now starting off. Of course, I brought a couple of pictures of some of these different aliyahs, where we're gonna show more of these pictures the more we move into it. Now, around somewhere in the 60s, the remaining Yemenis Jews, or the Edenese Jews from Eritrea, um, migrated or did an aliyah to the land of Israel as a result of Eritrea's war of independence, which really pushed them away. Now, the reason I say Edenese Jews, these are the Yemenis Jews who refer to themselves as Edenese after Yemen's port city of Eden, uh, just for context.
Mhm.
Now, in and now for the most part, many of these operations were done secretly and slightly illegally. But a proper uh, organized operation to bring all of the Beta Israel Jews, or uh, the Ethiopian Jews, to the Promised Land, to the land of Israel, started around the 70s in an operation called Operation Brothers. Now, uh, consi- as a result of continuing well, translating between two different languages is very difficult. But so let's just say that the public relations between Israel and Ethiopia really started to decline in the 70s, towards the end of the 70s, and
Mm.
so a wider operation by the Israeli government to bring all the uh, or if not most if not all of the Ethiopian Jews who lived in the refugee camps in Sudan was put in place. Now, like I said, the Operation Brothers was a much larger operation that had several smaller operations in between in between 1977 and 1990. Now, around this time, the many of the Jewish Ethiopians who lived in many refugee camps in Sudan started to die out as a result of diseases, hunger, and of course persecution. Now, the larger operation itself was mainly based around a series of commercial flights from Khartoum, the capital city of Sudan, to Europe, and then back to Israel. All right. Now, this whole operation included several uh, much smaller operations. in which which occurred in both through land, the air, and the sea. And of course, this is where these images that I brought up earlier
Mm.
uh, are more relevant. They were brought in. Uh, they were marched. Sorry, I keep trying to find my words today. They were marched to certain checkpoints where they were flown to Europe and got to Israel through the sea. Now, some of the more notable operations that took part as part of Operation Brothers were Operation Moses, during which uh, around 6,364 Jewish Ethiopians were rescued from the Sudanian refugee camps between the 21st of November 1984 and the 5th of January 1985.
Mm.
The Sheba operation, where around 500 more Ethiopian Jews were rescued between the 28th and 29th of March 1985. Now, of course, during that time, like I said, between 1977 and 1990, there were many, many, many small operations to bring in around uh, 20,000 uh, Ethiopian Jews from Ethiopia and from Sudan to Israel. Around 16,000 of them were successfully rescued and brought back to the Promised Land. Around 4,000 of them perished in the attempt. Died in the refugee camps, died on the road to get to the plane, and whatnot. This right here is a memorial to remember these fallen 4,000 Ethiopian Jews. Now, like I said, it ended around the year 1990, but that does not mean it was the end, because the continuing need to bring the Ethiopian Jews to the land of Israel, both for their own safety and because they themselves really wanted to reach the promised land, that it's in and of itself continued to last all the way till the 2020s, believe it or not.
Hmm.
Oops, let me just take this thing off. Now, between May 24th and 25th, 1991, was the Solomon operation, during which time, get this, I said between the 24th and the 25th,
Yeah.
between those 2 days, uh, around 14,310 Ethiopian Jews who were completely driven out of their homes were rescued and brought to the land of Israel. Now, around 1993, this was the beginning of the Aliyah of the Falashmura. These are Ethiopian Jews who converted to Christianity between the 19th and 20th centuries, but still had this longing and yearning for the land of Israel. And this aliyah began around 1993, my birth year, obviously, and uh, ended uh, uh, ended completely in the year 2020.
Oh
Around
wow.
around
That's fun.
5,000 of the Falashmura migrated, or sorry, did an aliyah between October 2012 and October 2013.
Mm.
And you can really still to this day see the Falashmura, uh, Beta Israel Ethiopians walking around. You can see them with tattoos of crosses all over their body,
Mm.
and then that's how you can identify them if you do it. Now, of course, Ethiopian Jews and or rather the Beta Israel uh, uh, members of the Beta Israel community have been firmly integrated into the Israeli society to the point where basically nowadays you can just go outside and see uh, dozens of them, almost as much as you can see, white Jews. It's not like it's Israel as I keep saying every time I do an episode about this subject. Israel is very much a melting pot of many different cultures, many different ethnicities. Of course, for the most part, Beta Israel Jews and Ethiopian Jews tend to live in their own communities. There are like entire neighborhoods of just Ethiopian Jews, but many of them do, in fact, branch out, and there's lots of cases of uh, black Jews marrying white Jews, black Christian Ethiopians marrying Jewish whites. There's no rules preventing it like certain other countries in the world. Uh, and for the most part, Ethiopians and black Jews and black Israelis have equal rights to any other ethnic group in Israel. In other words, Israel is not an apartheid.
No shit.
Yeah, in case some people need reminding, many Ethiopian Jews even serve in the Israeli military, otherwise known as the IDF. This right here is from 2001, the first ever Beta Israel uh, officer in 2001, and
Mhm.
you know the tag she's wearing, that's where I serve. I mean, that's my force that I serve, so that's why
Oh,
I
that's
got
pretty
a
cool.
personal connection. Of course, that no longer exists in the IDF. Uh, may that force rest in peace. But yeah, so many Ethiopian Jews serve in uh, combatant units, many special forces units. There's even high-ranking officers in the Israeli police from the Beta Israel. In short, Beta Israel Jews have really made a proper name for themselves, and not just in the IDF and not just in other parts of the society. There's also a large number of celebrities from the Beta Israel community. And this is really the second half of today's episode. We mostly talk about the history. Now, of course, this is a much shortened version of the history, a abbreviated version of the history. Because really one of the things I was really excited about when I came up with this idea is I just wanted to talk about some famous Israeli black Jews,
Mhm.
and just famous black Israelis, because some of them aren't even Jewish. So this is an interesting bit, and yeah, like I brought up this picture, and now we're just gonna go over a couple of or a select number of uh, celebrities from the Beta Israel community, and explain their uh, their careers a little bit.
Okay.
And the first person, and I'm pretty sure you've never heard of any of these.
Yeah, there's gonna be a really good chance I haven't heard of anyone.
Cool. I would actually be surprised if you have heard of some of these.
Hey, you
But
never know. You never know.
that's why I'm curious, and that's why I'm saying that, putting that on the table. And the first person we're going to talk about is Almaz Mangisto. She's a journalist and a news anchor, news presenter for, I believe, 12 News, Channel 12, that is.
Okay.
Uh, you have Esterada. I think it's pretty obvious.
She's a singer.
She's a singer, of course. She's a
And
singer.
forgive me for generalizing this. She looks like she's actually a good singer. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's something about the way she's that picture. She's probably a good singer.
Well, I mean, if you got all that from a picture, then that must since she must be
Yeah.
good.
Are you
There's
familiar with her work?
what?
Are you familiar with her work?
Not individually, but I have heard her in group projects.
Okay, cool.
Okay, someone I literally have not heard of until making this list, for obvious reasons. Baruch Dego. I mean, if you just look at the
Oh,
picture,
because he's a sports. He's a sports.
sports, yeah,
Soccer.
sports, yeah.
Sorry.
Me no sports. Me no sports.
Yep.
Uh,
And hey, at least
yeah,
you know that he plays sports.
yeah. At least I recognized it from his clothes.
Yeah.
He's
Now,
a
you want to know something I just found out? Actually, funny enough, to do with context of this, I found out that in Europe, jerseys like that, they're called kits.
hmm,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Me neither.
Thank you.
Till
That's
the
good information. But yeah, so he's an Israeli footballer in Ganyavne, and yes, real football, not the American thing. There's also back to the news cycle, Brano Taganya, a field reporter and a journalist for, I believe, the same news channel as Almaz Mangisto. This one I actually think you should recognize because we have slightly talked about her, Eden Elena.
I do recognize the picture. The name, not so much, but I recognize the face.
She represented Israel in Eurovision. And actually, she actually represented Israel twice in a row, back to back, because COVID.
Ah, so she's a recent one.
Uh, Relatively recent, yes. And of course, she went on to have a great career on her own after Eurovision. But speaking of Eurovision, in her second appearance, she actually went and did this.
Holy shit, that's like Mariah Carey level.
She actually surpassed Mariah Carey. It was all
Sounds
over
like
the news when it happened.
So she's basically got the record for the highest recorded note then.
Yeah.
Wow. That's high.
Israeli.
That's fucking high.
I guess we're sticking to the on the music train with Hagit Yasu or Yaso. Sorry, I apologize. Hagit Yaso, also a singer, and actually the first place winner of the 9th season of A Star Is Born, which was basically Israel's Got Talent before Israel's Got Talent.
Okay, so the precursor.
That's like the main talent show before the Got Talent format reached Israel. Before that, it was like a American Idol for Israel, and many great famous names in Israeli music came from that show. As a matter of fact,
Cool.
we might be talking about in an episode coming up soon. You know, just bit of a spoiler there. There's also, if my mouse would cooperate, Ruti Asarsai. She's an actress who, of course, won the Israel Theater Award. And yes, that's what it's called. I mean, there's no fancy name like Tony or Grammy or whatever. It's just the Israel Theater Award. Stage theater, that is. There's also Shlomo Nagosa Mola. He's a politician. So yeah, he's former second to the chairman of the Knesset, which is basically the Israeli parliament, and a prominent member of the Kadima and Tnu'a parties, which were basically the center left-ish side of Israeli politics. This next one is a bit of an interesting one. Stefan Legar. Do you want to know why he's so special? He's the one on the list. Who's not a Jew.
Oh,
he's Christian. He's actually, and this is a very interesting story that I found out about him. He's actually a son of two diplomats from Tonga who worked in the Israeli Tongolese embassy, were born in Israel, worked, or rather, got himself a job as a model at age 14, then signed up to the IDF and became a singer and rapper. So, of course, he started out as a background dancer for Static and Benel, and yes, that is their name. That is the name of that group. Started out as a background dancer and slowly moved his way up the ranks to being a musician himself. He's actually a very famous and talented Israeli rapper and a really, really good.
See, I didn't want to say anything because it might have been stereotyping, but I was like, he's got to be like hip hop or something.
Oh yes, it wasn't stereotyping. I mean, he's literally making the hand gesture.
Yeah, but it's like black hip hop. You know.
I mean, the hints are all there. You just have to go ahead and say it. Next up, we have Tahonia Rubel, Oruba. I've never
Yeah.
actually been sure on the pronunciation of her last name. She got her start as being the winner of one of. Let me just make sure that I'm clear on the number of seasons. She won the fifth season of the Israeli version of Big Brother. And ever since that, she basically took off. She became an actress, a singer, a TV presenter. Yeah, unlike some other people who won that show, who won the Big Brother, who just faded into obscurity, she still found a way to remain relevant. And we also have Titi Ayanau. I mean, the picture pretty much gives it away. She's a Israeli beauty queen
Yeah, I
and
was
a
thinking Miss Universe, something along those
yeah,
lines.
yeah, former Miss Universe, and another really good ambassador for Israel abroad. There's Yossi Vasa, an actor slash writer who wrote and created and is current and starred in an Israeli show called Nabso, who I believe won an Emmy, a proper Emmy, not an Israeli version of an Emmy. Uh, he the show itself basically is here's the premise: black guy with blonde white girlfriend, uh, with a mother not so happy about having a black guy in the family.
Hmm. Yeah,
I only
okay.
watched like what?
That sounds oddly familiar.
Yeah, maybe it's a format that has been reused.
Well, no, I was gonna say you hear a lot of stories about things like that from like the 40s and 50s and early 20th century over here.
Yeah,
White woman falling in love with a black guy, parents getting pissed, that whole sort of thing.
but the again, I haven't watched the show. I've only seen like a couple episodes here
Yeah.
and there. But from what I've been able to see, basically the mother is like, I don't like him, but she's being overly nice. You know these overly nice racists.
Yep.
Yeah, there's they even made a name for them in Hebrew, but I can't really say it because you wouldn't understand. But basically, it's extre- extremely nice white racists, Lagnabim, to be more specific. But yeah, this is a, a beta Brion, and I apologize. Uh, this is another one I've never heard of before making this list,
What?
but
I can tell you what instrument that is.
oh, cool. What
That
is
is
it?
the soprano saxophone, as made famous by Kenny G. So basically, it's a saxophone that sings almost as high as a register as that one singer.
You know what? They should do a duet.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, no, like we've played songs with this type of instrument before. I can't physically play it because it's hard for me as a bigger gentleman to play instruments that small. Basically, it's similar. There's several types. You can get them as like a miniature saxophone. This is the more common one. It's basically similar in design to a clarinet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Learned something new today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was gonna say I honestly never heard of them because I'm not that big in the music scene. But I mean, the picture pretty much speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And also we have Nina Tamno Shata. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Uh, she's another politician. She serves in what is currently at the moment the opposition party Yeshatid, uh, which is led by Yair Lapid, who is a former prime minister. So she's serving in a party that up until a year or so ago was the leading party, the party um, leading the government, the coalition. And finally, the last two we're going to talk about are these two. Uh, and I hope I'm saying it right.
I'm assuming they're twins.
No, no, they're not.
Oh.
They're just good friends.
Oh.
But yeah, and again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name. Ilak Sahalo and Uri Almo. Again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the name, but yeah, they're basically band members. They founded their own band called Strong Black Coffee, and trust me, this sounds a lot better in Hebrew. But yeah, so they actually They got a couple of really good fun songs together. Sadly, no longer performing together, but they had a really decent run, and even got to play one of their songs during the one of Israel's Independence Day celebrations.
Ooh,
So good on them.
right
They
on.
they, they really made it. Uh, and well, that that's actually, I was not intending this to be as short as it ended up being, but
You know
here we
what?
go.
It's perfect because you're sick and all that stuff. So that means you get more time to rest.
Hey,
Always look on the bright side, my friend.
always look on the bright side of
Side
life.
of life.
Oh, and I can see you already uploaded your
Yeah,
topic for next
I did.
week.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna get into it. So instead of being accused of piggybacking off your topic, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the Canadian equivalent of yours in 2 weeks.
Oh, you! That
Yeah.
doesn't excuse you, you know.
Well, you know what? It actually did get me thinking because we are in Black History Month. I fortunately don't know much about famous Black Canadians, so it's going to be an educational thing for me. However, I'm going to go back into the realm of TV. And what I'm going to do is there is a very famous, well, I thought it was more famous than it was. There is a famous Canadian TV show that came out in the 90s. I'm pretty sure you've heard me discuss it a few times. It is a
Yes,
TV
I
show.
saw the name already.
Is a TV show called Reboot. It was one of the very first, to my knowledge, one of the very first fully computer animated TV shows that was done here in
The
Canada.
first.
It was the first. Okay, I knew it was one of them. I wasn't sure if it was the first. But yeah, no, this is a great show. Unfortunately, when I tried to watch it about 10 years ago again, it didn't hold up for me, but there are still some great concepts. The characters are very memorable. Everything is named or associated with some form of computer. So this is going to be a pretty fun deep dive into this show next week.
Yeah, and you know, I always heard about this show, heard a lot of good things, never watched it, and now I'm glad I didn't, because now I get to discover it for the first time.
I feel you might get a kick out of it, and
I
more
feel
as
so
like a
too.
nostalgic thing. It only lasted 4 seasons. Most of the episodes that I've seen are from the first two because by the time 3 and 4 came out, I kind of grew out of it, and so I wasn't watching kids programming as much at that time. But yeah, and actually, fun fact: one of my oldest friends, when he went to computer design school, one of his professors worked on this show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, no, this is definitely a legendary Canadian TV show for people around my age, and I'm going to share it with you.
And one of these days, I'm going to get you to watch Ed, Edd n Eddy.
One that's actually I'm pretty sure that's not even up. You can't even find it up here.
Yeah, that's always been the irony. It's
Yeah.
like it's a Canadian show made by Canadians in Canada, never once broadcast in Canada. In short,
Canadians are weird.
It was broadcast in Canada. Like I remember
What?
seeing it. I remember seeing it on the slate of YTV. It's just unfortunately it was in that time of the latter half of Reboot where I wasn't watching as much kids programming as I should have. But yeah, no, you can buy it here on Amazon and YouTube and Apple, but you can't stream it anywhere. There's a lot of Canadian content that's like that actually. Our distribution laws up here are fucking whack.
Okay. Well, one of these days, do you think we should get you just watch it individually, or we should watch it together?
I actually would be down watching it together. I think it would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up because I think the first fully CGI TV show was Transformers Beast Wars. Now I'm just looking that up.
I think Reboot might predate Beast Wars.
Yeah, I thought so too. That's why I kind of lost my confidence after I made that statement. For whatever reason, all I'm getting now is Babylon 5.
Well, hold on a second. So
Right.
Reboot, the TV series we're going to be talking about, debuted in 1994, and Beast Wars, which I think is actually also Canadian,
I think that's 96.
96 to 99. So yes, it is actually predates it by 2 years.
Yeah, so Reboot was the first.
Yeah, and Beast Wars, like I said, is another Canadian TV show because it was produced by Mainframe Entertainment of Vancouver, BC.
Hey,
And I'm actually just looking that up because Mainframe Entertainment sounds like they're the guys that did Reboot.
it's all in the family.
They're the ones that did Reboot, which makes sense because a lot of the things in Reboot are named after computers.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
plugs
they
then.
did Spider-Man the animated TV series from 2003. So
Not a fan of that one.
and Bob the Builder.
Hmm.
And they did a Madagascar thing for Hulu Peacock. Yeah.
You know what?
Reckoning Five.
How about you just make the whole topic of next month about shows that studio made
Sure, but I'm going to start
instead
it
of
with
just
Reboot
focusing
this
on
week.
one show?
I want to start it with Reboot this week because I really want to do
Of course,
it.
natural.
Yeah, because I have a feeling if I were to put that off till next month, I would lose interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will be
So,
downloading some sound clips because there are some from some characters where I have to show you,
mhm.
like Bob the TV. 99.99.
Hey, spoilers, man.
That's only a sample.
So, should we wrap this up then?
Yes. So you can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. You can find me doing fun with flags here with 50 every week. And you can right now, you can probably find me playing Lego Incredibles in a few minutes.
And you can also find me, hopefully every Thursday on this show, Fun with Flags, and hopefully every Monday on The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, where I talk about the greatest show in the galaxy, Doctor Who. And you can also check out all the other, you can also check me out on my own YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek, where I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way up to 2023. And you can also check out all the other wonderful channels from the wider universe at large, like Something to Talk About, Galaxy Geeks, Multiverse of Geekdom, Movie Lounge Night, Midnight Cinema, HA Reviews, In the Front Row, and I guess So Dang in Wrestling is not,
Yeah, it's in hibernation.
but not dead. Dead.
It's not dead. It's just no plans for it to come back anytime soon.
All right.
There's still a little bit of a heartbeat, but
beep, beep,
pretty much.
beep. So yeah, speaking of hearts beat, our hearts always beat for our good friend Ben Rayner, the person we are doing this show for,
Yep.
and of course, Soda's holding up the shirt that his mom made for him, and yeah, we miss him every day.
Sorry, Ben's mom made, not my mom. You said for his mom. I just wanted to clarify. Ben's mom made these for.
Oh yeah, his mom, yeah, his mom,
yeah.
his mom
So
being
this
Ben's
is a special edition shirt. You had to have been friends with Ben to get one. So
yeah, so your life sucks if you don't have one.
pretty much.
So yeah, just remember we're doing this for him, and whether you're from Beta Israel, or whether you're from proper Israel, or whether you're just a Canadian making TV shows, always remember to let your geek flag fly. That's all we're really here for. So until the next one, everybody, goodbye.